A drug dealer snatched my 8-year-old daughter without realizing he'd just crossed the president of the Steel Demons Motorcycle Club. My name's David Reaper Stone, and at 3:47 p.m., my phone lit up with a call that nearly stopped my heart. It was my ex-wife, Rachel, screaming, sobbing, saying Lily never made it home from school. The bus driver swore Lily stepped off at our stop like she always did. Rachel said she waited and waited, but our little girl never walked through the door. Hearing her panic, it froze my blood solid. That neighborhood is quiet, safe, barely 300 feet from the bus stop to Rachel's front porch. Within minutes, I had 40 steel demons tearing down the highway toward Rachel's house. I don't even remember the drive. I just know I broke every traffic law that ever existed trying to get there. And when I finally arrived, that's when we spotted Lily's backpack shoved into the bushes. Her teddy bear, Mr. Buttons, was nowhere. That bear wasn't just a toy. I'd sewn a tracker inside it months ago, just in case life ever threw us something like this. "She's moving," Snake called out, staring at the tracking app on his phone. "Northbound on Highway 9, about 40 miles out." I knew that stretch of road too well. That was Carlos El Lobo Mendez territory, a cartel lieutenant who'd been slipping his poison through our county. The same bastard I'd shut down a month earlier when he tried to use my bike shop to run his drugs. "This is payback," Tank growled beside me. "You told him no, so he took Lily." I didn't waste another second. I dialed Carlos myself. He answered on the first ring, already laughing. "Lose something? Reaper?" "If you hurt her," I told him, voice dead calm, "I'll burn your whole damn world to the ground." "You threaten my business," Carlos said, "so I threaten your family. Bring me $100,000 and sign over your shop, or little Lily disappears forever." "I'll bring the money," I lied without blinking. "Where?" "The old warehouse on Miller Road. Come alone or she dies." He hung up. I lowered the phone and looked at my brothers, men who'd ride into hell for me without asking why. "No one," I said. "Hurts my little girl." We followed the tracker signal, and it led us to an abandoned building about 20 meters from the warehouse Carlos mentioned. That told me everything I needed to know. He wasn't keeping Lily at the meeting spot. Carlos was setting up an ambush. The exchange was a trap, and my daughter was being held somewhere else. Diesel came back from surveillance looking grim. "Reaper, he's got at least 15 men in there," he said, "and they're loaded heavy." "I don't give a damn if he's got 50, I told him. "We're bringing Lily home." But wanting it and doing it weren't the same thing. We needed to be smart. Carlos had fingers in everything. Gangs, dealers, even a few dirty cops who'd look the other way if he burned the whole county down. That's when help showed up from a direction I never expected. A lone car pulled into the lot outside our clubhouse. Detective Tom Miller stepped out. Instantly, every gun in sight swung toward him. The man didn't even flinch. "Hold up," he said, hands raised. "I'm not here as a cop." He bent down, pulled his badge from his belt, and tossed it in the dirt. "Carlos murdered my partner last year," he said quietly. "Made it look like he took his own life. That monster took everything from me, and I know what it feels like to lose someone you love." Tank crossed his arms. "Why the hell should we trust you?" Miller reached into a folder and laid out photos on the table. Grainy, horrifying images. "Because Carlos isn't just holding your girl," he said. "He's got 14 other kids locked in that building, ages 6 to 12. He's starting a trafficking pipeline. If we don't stop him today, those kids disappear forever." The room erupted. Grown men who'd been through wars looked like they were ready to tear the walls off. This stopped being just about Lily, I growled. Miller nodded. I've been building a case on him for 2 years, but every time his lawyers bury it, the system protects him. I looked him dead in the eye. Then we stop him our way. What we came up with was beautiful and brutal. Step 1 was simple. Make Carlos think I was stupid enough to follow his rules. So I rode toward the warehouse alone, while my brothers split off into different directions, heading toward the building where the tracker showed Lily was really being held. When I pulled up to the warehouse, Carlos was already waiting, surrounded by 20 armed men. "Where's my money?" he barked. I stared right back. "Where's my daughter?" "Alive, for now." He flashed a smug grin. "But you walked in alone like a fool, Reaper." I let a small smile slip. Did I? Right on cue, the air began to shake. The low rumble grew, rolling across the ground like thunder. Motorcycles. Not 40 of my steel demons. Not 50. 200 bikers, clubs from 3 different states, had come riding in because word spread fast when children needed saving. Carlos went white. "You brought an army? To a business deal?" "This stopped being business the moment you laid a hand on my daughter," I said. "And when you stole other people's kids." "You can't prove any of that," he yelled. "We don't have to prove it," I told him. "We just need to know the truth." While Carlos was panicking, the rest of my brothers hit the other building, the one from the teddy bear tracker. What they found inside broke even the hardest men in our club. 14 kids tied up in a filthy room, ages 6 through 12. A few had been missing for weeks. Lily sat curled in the corner, clutching Mr. Buttons like her life depended on it, trying so hard to be brave. Tank knelt down and spoke gently. "Hey, sweetheart, your daddy's friends are here. You're safe now." But we weren't finished, because Carlos had backup too. 30 cartel soldiers racing toward both locations, armed to the teeth and ready for war. That was the moment everyone learned why you never, ever go after a biker's family. The fight that followed was violent, fast, and absolutely one-sided. 200 bikers charging in against roughly 50 cartel soldiers. The cartel never had a prayer. They scattered like rats, firing blindly. But we overwhelmed them before they could even regroup. Carlos tried to bolt. I caught him halfway across the parking lot. He dropped to his knees, hands shaking. "Please, Reaper, please," he stammered. "I have money, millions, you can have it. Just let me go." I didn't say a word. I just grabbed him by the collar and dragged him into one of the empty warehouses nearby. No backup, no audience, just him and me. When I finally let go, he stumbled backward, gasping. I stepped toward him slowly. "You stole my daughter," I said, barely above a whisper. "You shoved her in a cage like she wasn't even human." "She's alive," he cried. I didn't hurt her." "You were going to sell her," I said. "Don't lie." He didn't respond. He didn't have to. His silence told me everything. What happened inside that room after that? Well, I never shared the details with anyone. But folks outside heard his screams for a good solid hour. When I finally walked back out, Carlos was still breathing, but just barely. His body was intact, but something deep inside him had snapped in ways no doctor could ever fix. "Call 911, I told Tank. "Tell them we found the man responsible." When the cops arrived, they didn't know what to make of the scene. 15 children rescued, 30 cartel members zip-tied on the pavement, and Carlos Mendez confessing so fast he could barely breathe. He spilled crimes they didn't even know existed, Murders, trafficking, payoffs, kidnappings. Years' worth of evil poured out of him in minutes. He begged the officers to arrest him. Begged them to get him into protective custody before someone finished what I'd started. Detective Miller walked up beside me. "What did you do to him?" he asked quietly. "I showed him," I said, "what fathers do to men who hurt kids." The evidence we found in the building was enough to bury Carlos for 5 lifetimes. Hard drives, documents, weapons, drugs, everything mapped out. His whole trafficking network laid bare. Carlos got life without the possibility of parole. His cartel washed their hands of him immediately, and once he entered prison, word spread. Fast. A father of 3 cornered him in the showers 2 weeks in. Carlos survived, but anyone who saw him afterward knew he probably wished he hadn't. Lily came home without a scratch on her body, but the nights were hard. She'd jolt awake crying, afraid the bad man might come back. For months, the steel demons rotated shifts outside Rachel's house every single night, engines cooling in the driveway, making sure our girl slept safe. The 14 other kids were all returned to their families, and every single one of those families got taken under the wing of motorcycle clubs from around the region. Supported, guarded, protected. One little boy didn't have parents to return to. Carlos had taken them both from him, and that's when the brotherhood stepped forward and made him theirs. We took that little boy in and raised him as one of our own. The steel demons didn't just give him a place to sleep. We gave him a family again. A real one. Detective Miller walked away from the badge not long after. He said he couldn't keep working for a system that let those kids fall through the cracks. Instead, he became a private investigator. The kind who hunts down missing kids with the kind of fire only a grieving father could understand. About 3 months after everything went down, another dealer tried sliding into Carlos's old territory. He didn't last long. One morning he showed up to find his stash burned to ash, his cash gone, and 3 words spray-painted across his wall. "We're watching. Touch a child and die." He packed up and got out of town before the sun even came up. The warehouse where Carlos kept those children, where he had planned to sell them, was demolished. We tore every last rotten board down. Then the club built something better in its place, a playground. Swings, slides, soft grass, bright colors, a safe spot where kids could laugh instead of cry. Lily still carries Mr. Buttons everywhere she goes. That teddy bear went through hell with her. The tracker is still sewn inside. And now there's a panic button too. "Just in case," I told Rachel. "Just in case?" she asked. "Not just in case," I corrected her. "Never again." Everything changed for the steel demons after that day. We weren't just a motorcycle club anymore. We became protectors. Guardians of the people who couldn't defend themselves. Anytime a child went missing, any whisper of abuse, any dealer targeting kids, we handled it. Sometimes by the book, sometimes not exactly by the book, but always in a way that made sure it never happened again. As for Carlos Mendez, he's still alive technically, paralyzed from the waist down after that prison attack. Eats through a tube because the other inmates keep poisoning his food. Every anniversary of Lily's kidnapping, he gets a photo in the mail. Lily smiling, growing up protected by 200 leather-clad bikers who would die for her. And the message beneath every photo is always the same. She survived. You won't. Guards usually find him crying after he reads those. He begs for death, but they keep him on permanent suicide watch. He has to wake up every day trapped inside his own body, reliving everything he did, and everything that happened to him. People sometimes ask me what I did to him in that warehouse. Fathers mostly. The ones who lost their kids to monsters like him. They wait until it's late, until the clubhouse is quiet, and then they ask in a low voice. I only ever give one answer. I made sure he could never hurt another child, and I made sure every day he breathes reminds him why. The FBI did investigate the whole mess. The shootout, the cartel takedown, all of it. Officially, they ruled it self-defense. Unofficially, a few agents pulled us aside, shook our hands, and said, "You saved 14 kids. That's what counts." Lily is 13 now. She doesn't remember much from that day, thank God. But she knows she's protected. She knows she has an army behind her. In the 5 years since, we've saved 87 more kids. Not all their stories end perfectly, but every single one ends with justice. Carlos used to think he was untouchable. Money, soldiers, weapons, connections. He thought that made him king. But he learned the truth the hard way. Nothing makes you untouchable when you take a biker's daughter. Absolutely nothing.